You know, in the pensions whirlpool, we're all fighting to keep our head above water. You'll likely be familiar with another watery metaphor. If a frog is dropped into a pan of boiling water, it'll jump straight out. But if it's put into cold water being gently heated, the frog is eventually boiled to death. Or so the story goes. I haven't tried it. The difference between us in the pensions whirlpool and the frog, which might represent the public at large, is that we know what's going to happen. So we sound the alert. And government ignores us because they detect self-interest. I'm talking about the looming catastrophe in the coming decades when people won't have enough to live on after they stop working. That's why I want a later life commission. Because you see, it's not just about pensions. We need to factor in social care. We've seen attempts to recognise this. 6 years ago, the Dilnot Commission said nobody should have to pay more than £35,000 for their own care costs during their lifetime. In 2013, the government decided this was unaffordable and set the cap at £75,000. But that still meant many people would have to sell their home when they went into care. So then the Conservative 2017 election manifesto took the opposite approach and proposed a floor of £100,000 on assets, including homes, above which you'd have to pay. That proved politically toxic too, so it was dropped. So nothing changed. We still have means testing. Presently, those with less than £14,000 in capital and savings pay nothing for care, but pay full price if they have more than £23,250. What we've learned from this are two things. First, means testing and anything that can be painted as a death tax is widely resented. And second, UK politicians are focused on the next election. But we need a vision of the long term. In the pensions industry, we know this. That's why, for example, there is growing discussion about so-called decumulation in the DC world. Since the advent of flexible access, money purchase pots are at risk of attrition, and their owners risk running out of money to live on. One solution for some is a deferred annuity that comes into payment at a certain age, say 85, with the rest of the pot remaining invested and drawdown providing a steady income in retirement up to that point. That's fine perhaps if you have a pot worth £500,000 to start with, but most people don't and won't. Think for a moment about auto-enrolment. Minimum employee contributions treble next April. Still only 3% of qualifying earnings, by common consent way below adequate. And yet we're already nervous with talk of workers opting down, if not opting out of the scheme altogether. Any solution must involve more collective provision, more reliance on the pooling principle that has served us well in the past. Very few people will achieve lifelong self-sufficiency, and a growing proportion won't have family able to take care of them in old age. The water in the pan is already hot, and I believe we need an integrated, long-term national strategy for financing our later life. We cannot expect any government to leap into action and deliver this. The solution is a later life commission. But for that to work, and not simply generate another report to gather dust on the shelves of history, we need a strong consensus. We need to build this together. I believe we in the pensions industry have a responsibility to take the lead. Do you agree?